What's up, YouTube? Extra time, June 20th, 2019. Yes, come back to us, Calen. You're here. The U.S. may have just scored. We're watching the Women's World Cup and podcasting
He's
at
a
the
Mexico
same time.
fan.
Boo, boo. It is a sweet shirt, though. What do we have on today's show? What should people look forward to?
We've got some Canadian breakdown. We've got some U.S. men's national team breakdown. We've got Open Cup with cup sets. It all rolls forward.
Who's going to do the Tyler Boyd impression? Because we talked to the new winger for the U.S. national team. You got a New Zealand impression?
I just like to party and go to the beach.
That's definitely not a good impression. You can hear from Tyler Boyd coming up after the break. Extra time starts now. Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, David Goss, big time Calen Carr, the MC of the best pickup game in Chinatown.
Oh, yes.
I'm surprised you're even here after the after parties with Steve Nash and his boys. Charlie Davies.
Steve Nash wasn't there.
No, yeah.
What?
No, he
How's
did.
that work?
Well, he actually, the day before, he found out his wife, well, he knew she was having a baby, but she was going into, like, this was happening now.
9 months went so fast.
So
Oh my God.
he flies back across the country, FaceTimes with Stu Holden. Stu Holden takes over as the master of ceremony, flies in from the U.S. game in St. Paul.
Wow.
Straight there, runs the show, and
Also-
then suddenly is, like, on no sleep playing against Joel Embiid and Larry Nance Jr. It was awesome.
Steve Nash?
Oh, and Meta World Peace.
Ron Artest?
Meta World Peace
Did he play well?
was balling.
The artist formerly known as Ron Artest.
Dude, you put him in as a D-mid and just let him run sideline to sideline, he would own the game.
Charlie Davies, I was worried for Charlie because
Yeah.
they were matched up one-on-one, and I was like, yo.
And Charlie talks a lot.
Ron, yeah.
Even when it's a joke, he chirps.
He's a
That's
chirper.
not the dude you want to gel with.
Who had the
Yeah.
most skills, the unexpected skills? And then we'll get to soccer. We've got some great guests. Tyler Boyd is going to be with us from the U.S. national team. Terry Dunfield, former Canada international. Talking Canada, they lost 3-1 to Mexico, but it's okay. They think maybe the semis will be a rematch.
My guy Tobias Harris was there, right?
Yeah, he came through.
Lehigh, baby.
He did not play.
Long Island.
Did not play.
Did not play.
Ooh.
Luol Deng, by far and away.
well, he's British.
The best. My favorite play of the game, Gio Reyna, 16 years old.
Baller.
And he had showed up. He showed me a photo of him at the Nash Showdown when he was 5 with Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry's got his arm around him, and he's like a little kid on the sideline. Now he's playing. He scored 3 goals yesterday. He's a baller. But he had a beautiful assist to Luol Deng, who can also really go.
See, classic you being like, you're going to spend your TAM money on the British big Luol Deng.
Right.
He's an Arsenal man. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Man, dude.
Yeah,
You're like,
for sure.
No, but he plays.
you're Anthony Hudson over
No,
here.
the way he plays, though, I'm telling you, it's like this New England team. He would fit in well with
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Wow. That's the Steve Nash Showdown. Sounds like fun. I used to go all the time.
I feel bad because I know Steve Nash looks forward to that like the entire year and like wants to win. Is like super juiced.
He's
to
got a
play.
Showdown baby now to show for it.
Yeah, that's
Come on.
true.
Yeah.
Well done.
Did he name his kid Showdown?
Meta World Peace would advise that. Yeah.
That's okay. The branding there is really, really good. All right, we're getting to Terry Dunfield Talk Canada in just a second. They lost to Mexico 3-1. It was their first loss under John Herdman. 7 games, 1 loss. CONCACAF Nations League qualifying. They had some, I don't want to call them cupcakes, but those are some games that Canada should win. They changed the setup. They changed the lineup. 6 lineup changes for Herdman in this one. It was no Jonathan David, which was interesting. No Scott Arfield. No Junior Hoylett, which was interesting as well. They switched formation. They went to a 3-4-3, 5-man really. Back line, you would call it, because Mexico had most of the ball and were pushing. Lucas Cavallini, Kyle Larin up top. Alfonso Davies in there.
So, yeah,
Still lost.
Before we get into this, what are you wearing? Are you repping Mexico on this show?
If you're not
You're
on
wearing
YouTube
a Mexico
here.
shirt right
This
now.
is a tie-dye Mexico
and it says
Flatbush Zombies.
Flatbush.
Yeah, Flatbush Zombies. You're not up on
No.
the musical scene.
I'm not.
No.
Okay, cool.
Check them out. They're pretty sweet.
Cool. All
After
right.
that Guardado goal, I was like, I need some merch.
Nice.
It was a good goal. He didn't even start Guardado, by the way.
No, he did not.
So
He came off
Gutierrez
the
getting
bench,
hurt.
which is like the 8th injury for this team. Edson Alvarez came back. For Canada, they played a 5-man back line to start, and instead of Mark Anthony Kaye at left wing back, it was Russell Tybert, which was a change. Jonathan Osorio comes out of the team. Scott Arfield comes out. You mentioned Junior Hoylett and Jonathan David. 4 of the 5 best performers from the first game against Martinique come out against the team that you think is the best team. I think it was John Herdman overthinking things, and that happens to a lot of coaches early on in their tenure.
Hold on. He said he didn't put his best team out there. Obviously, that's on purpose. Why do you think it's overthinking?
Because
if he thinks he's going to get Mexico in the semis, and I know for Canada, with their Gold Cup history recently, it's probably not a good idea to look ahead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Cuba's now lost to Martinique. You figure you're going to get by Cuba, and then you show your cards later, right?
2 reasons. One, you're not Germany. You don't start a tournament by planning for the semifinal. Second reason is you play a team twice. So you can't put your best team out there to try and win a game and then do it again. Like it's not like the NFL where it's like if I show them my 5 trick plays, they're going to know what's coming in 2 weeks in the Super Bowl.
Unless you're Haiti.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Eric.
They're like, these guys aren't fighting.
Yeah.
These guys are getting along just fine. He's going to fight. They're going to argue. He's
This
going to
time
come
they're going to
back.
hug.
Yeah, right.
And then that's the fake.
Right after they give daps, that's when the service is coming.
But yeah, so I think it was overthinking it. And I think on top of that, you're going to rotate players. But I think he tried to change the team up to confuse Mexico off the bat. Yes, partially to see what he had in a 5-man backline and a change team, but also I think just to throw Mexico off to make them a little uncomfortable. And I think if the talent gap is what it is between Canada and Mexico, that's not worth it for you. Like, you're not getting enough out of that where you're like, we're split 50-50. I can get a little advantage here. And I don't think they played awful, but they were at no point did they deserve to win that game. They were defending throughout the game. They had a few bright spots and breaks through Cavallani and Davies individually, but there was never really a team flow until the second half when Atiba Hutchinson was one of the greatest central midfielders in Canadian soccer history, played central midfield for the first time in the Gold Cup.
Yeah. They've needed it in the back line, though, because Daniel Henry had been hurt. They still had some issues in the back, some moments against Mexico that get punished.
I think the wrong decision here as well. I agree with Goss. I just think you talk about all these coaches are talking about building into a tournament, and that's really important. And the only times I've seen this sort of testing of depth, maybe if you want to look at it that way, the way the U.S. women have been able to do it, Canada does not need to test their depth to understand who they're going to need to rely on later in the tournament when they play against whoever in Mexico. I think they're still looking for confidence. And to be able to go against and test yourself in this type of situation against Mexico, I think this was a missed opportunity.
And they weren't perfect against Martinique. It wasn't like they went out 1-13-0. Like, yes, they won 4-0, but they gave up a ton of chances. And there's still question marks. What is the best 11 for Canada? So it's not like, here's my best 11. I don't want to run it out there. John Herdman has that. I think if you said to him tomorrow what it is, but I don't think it's 100%. And it's where is Jonathan David? Where is Junior Hollett? Where is Atiba Hutchinson in that best 11? So I don't think you had a game to just waste.
Where's Davies? Does he play left back? Does he play farther forward? Is Cavallini your starting forward? Is David maybe more of a winger? I don't know. Where's Marc-André K play? Who plays left back? Where's Atiba Hutchinson play?
Get Oso in the team.
Jonathan Sorio?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to Terry Dunfield. He's a TSN analyst as well as a TFC Academy coach. He is on the line now. Terry, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's about time.
Oh, we were debating. I thought we had you years ago. No?
Well, maybe I didn't make an impression.
Or you don't remember. Either way. Now we're glad to have him. Of course, you know him from his days in MLS with Vancouver, Toronto FC, with the Canadian national team. You've played in a Gold Cup, Terry. What have you made for the first 2 games for this Canada team?
I think the first game against Martinique probably went as planned. I think maybe individually we maybe underestimated them a little bit. I think Martinique have some nice pieces, but I think come the second half, you saw Canada's sort of ideology and game model come out, and I thought 4-0 was probably indicative of the performance and set us up nicely for that Mexico game last night.
So, the Mexico game. I thought it was the best of the group stage, at least on paper. Turned out to be a pretty good match here. 2 good teams with 2 good talent, but not all of the talent for Canada playing. John Herdman made a bunch of changes here. He hadn't lost before. Well, he's lost now. What did you make of his decision to rotate in what was the biggest match of the group stage, at least on paper?
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit like a mock exam. I think Canada will come out of their group against Cuba. I always expected changes. I wasn't surprised by a back 3. I think TFC had some joy in it in the CONCACAF Champions League against the Mexican sides, which got them to the final. I think that was smart. I think the attack of Mexico that we saw against Cuba when they dusted 7 past them is very vertical. They've got an unbelievable counter press. They're great in wide areas. If you protect those wide areas, they'll come at you centrally. So I think tactically, John Herdman was just sort of feeling out another system. There's a nice adaptability to the way Canada play. They drop into a back 3 during the game anyway, so it wasn't too dissimilar to what the boys know. And I think John was looking ahead to potentially the semifinal if they're able to get past Costa Rica and say, right, can we play this way?
he mentioned this wasn't his quote-unquote best team. My question is, what is? It just feels like for Canada, a lot of talent that plays similar positions. How does it all fit on the field together at its best?
Yeah, great question. I think in theory, the back three is great. I don't think we've got the personnel for it. As you alluded to, I think we're very deep up top. We've got lots of exciting weapons, and I think we saw that in the last 30 minutes of the game. Once John Herdman made changes, I thought Canada looked very good, looked very fluent. The moves became intrinsic. I thought the reference points were better, and I thought Mexico tired a little bit. To be honest, I don't like the move by John Herdman because I think you've now sort of exposed what your 11 will look like if you are able to get to the semifinal. I think the objective for John Herdman is to win this event. I don't think it's a development Gold Cup. I think Canada now are in it to win it, and if you're in it to win it, do you show your best hand? I wouldn't personally, but I think by doing that, I think Canada will have some confidence. I think the 3 goals that Mexico scored, there were mistakes. I think the first goal, Broguillard, the Montreal right back on loan from Lyon, gets his body shape wrong, could have put it out for a corner. Daniil Henry, Vancouver Whitecap player, gets caught on it for the second, and it's a great finish. Don't get me wrong, from Guardado. And then the third goal, Alphonso Davies, I don't like him at left back. I think in MLS, his athleticism would get him out of maybe not being in great spots when Carl Robinson would play him at left back. He got found out a little bit. So yes, Canada concedes 3, but those 3 goals Canada weren't broken down. They were sort of self-inflicted wounds, and I think late on in the game we saw Canada create opportunities. So I'm kind of excited. It's not okay. 3-1 back to the drawing board. I think John Herdman and the players will have learned a lot.
So, Terry, I hear you talking about this, and Canada's okay with a slow play here and not putting out their best. And this from an international side that's starting to get back into it, starting to have a new generation, but had a couple Gold Cups where getting out of the group was just it wasn't even close. Like, what has changed with...
that up.
Sorry, apologies. 2011 you guys did, though. What's changed, man? I hear about brotherhood, I see the talent, and I wonder how you feel looking at this team and this culture right now.
Yeah, so we say the word brotherhood. I love it, and this is something John Herdman's definitely put a lot of focus into, is creating the right culture where it's not what Canada can do for players. And look, playing for Canada helped me seal my move to the Vancouver Whitecaps. Is what can the players do for Canada? And John Herdman spent 5 years in New Zealand developing as a coach, and he's tried to establish a no dickheads culture, a little bit like the All Blacks, and the players have really bought into it, and really have come together. And I still think they're evolving, and there's more to come. But off the field, there's a real sort of togetherness. It's no longer a camp. Oh, great! I'm away from my club for 10 days. I can sort of put my feet up and. If we win, great. If we don't, I just go back to my club and I'm back into, trying to win a trophy or get out of a relegation battle.
Terry, you've been around the game for a while in Canada. You're now with it at all levels, youth coaching. I know you work with the Canadian Premier League as well. We see this young generation coming through. How different is the landscape of the sport in Canada? What's causing such a great generation to push through?
I think just more opportunity. I think it's easier for players to latch on, whether it be in Europe or develop here in academies at Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver. And now there's a clear pathway for these players to show what they can do. And one of the problems through my generation, we had a lot of talented individuals, but there weren't enough playing regular minutes. And I think now players are getting opportunities. I think we've got a real diverse player profile here, and now I think we're doing a better job of harnessing that. Our curriculums are better, and I think it's still another 3 or 4 years away where you really see the fruits of our labor. And hopefully we can start to compete with you guys.
Alphonso Davies is the name on everybody's lips just because of where he signed and what he did in MLS. He's an incredible talent, co-leader in goals at the last Gold Cup. Who's the most important player for this team? If they're going to do what John Herdman thinks they might be able to do, what you think they might be able to do and win it, who has to shine?
It's a tough one. I think we're struggling at center half. I think Daniil Henry, it's great that he was able to get through 90 minutes on the back of a hamstring injury that he picked up with the Whitecaps. This is the first time he's played in close to a month. I think his partnership with Cornelius is important. It'll be interesting to see whether Tiba Hutchinson, who's been excellent, I think he's played himself right back into the team, whether it's in midfield or in the back line. I think he's going to be important. I think Jonathan David is on the verge of a big move to a Tier 1 club, or I'd love to see him as a DP in MLS. He's a player I love. But I think come the group stages, come the knockout stages, when it becomes just a little bit tighter and you maybe need a moment of brilliance, I think that's where hopefully Canada will be able to rely upon someone like Alphonso Davies. And I really believe he needs to play higher up the pitch. And if you get him that ball in good areas, as we saw, he almost scored at 1-0 down. He can just create something out of nothing and really drive your group up the pitch.
Terry, I know you got a relationship with the CSA and John Herdman. Get my guy Atiba off the back line. Come on. Stop. This might be his last Gold Cup. Do not do this to me.
It's an interesting one. I don't mind it against the smaller nations, with all due respect to, say, Cuba or Martinique. He plays a role quite similar to Besiktas, where he's that deep-lying quarterback setting up attacks. He hasn't really had to defend. I thought he defended quite well against Mexico. I personally would have played him in the middle and Daniil on the right-hand side, where Canada might have been able to set up attacks a little bit better. But it's an interesting one. I think it's a big decision for John Herdman who he is going to play in that six, or whether it's a double pivot. I think Marc-Anthony Kaye's been brilliant. We're still eating a little bit of humble pie here at Toronto, but whether I thought Piet was okay against Martinique, it'll be interesting to see whether John Herdman trusts in him in the next game against Cuba, or whether Atiba's rested against Cuba and then you bring him into that number 6 position he's so good at, and he's played for Besiktas. He's just awareness. He's just a step ahead of everybody. So reliable in possession. So I agree with you, but just kind of looking at our personnel, we're so thin on the back line. I think that's why John's had to play him there.
Terry, we're going to let you go after this last question. Of course, Canada finishing off the group stages, and then we expect on into the knockout rounds, maybe Mexico in the semifinals. You're talking about Alphonso Davies further up the field, and then I think about Jonathan David, and then you have Junior Hoylett, and then you have Lucas Cavallini and Kyle Larin, and what is actually the best attacking mix lineup? Because it doesn't feel like you can have David off the field right now.
No, I think, and I think you need Jonathan David as a 9 where he plays for, again, I scored 8 in 23 this season. He's great at getting on the end of things. His movement's excellent. I think you just lose him a little bit out wide. Having said that, I thought Cavallini was a beast against Mexico, so it might be horses for courses where you bring Cavallini back in if Canada do get to Mexico. He plies his trade with Puebla. I thought he caused problems up top. And that type of big, strong, powerful forward, we saw it with Josie Altidore against the Mexican sides in the CONCACAF Champions League, do cause problems. I think against Costa Rica, if everything goes to plan, I think you'll see a front 3 of Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies on the left, and Junior Hoylett on the right, just kind of playing in that half space.
If all goes to plan, well, the plan for Canada, knock off Cuba, get to the knockout rounds, maybe see Mexico in the semis, and maybe, just maybe, go back to the final. Terry Dunfield, you can follow him on Twitter. Terry_Dunfield is a TSN analyst and academy coach for TFC, among many other things. Terry, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. All the best.
Big thanks to Terry for joining us here to talk Canada. They're coming up. They got Cuba in the third match day for Group A on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Martinique and Mexico are the final match. Mexico are going to go through. We know that. Canada, you figure as well. Interesting tweet.
Cuba already lost players.
Yeah, they already players defected. Mm-hmm. People keep saying they lost players. I'm like, well, the players, they defected. Yeah. Interesting tweet. Octavio Zambrano, in case you don't know, he used to coach Canada. He said dear Canada soccer fans, the Canadian men's national team will have a fine Gold Cup showing, not because of some great tactics, but in spite of. If they thought they could PowerPoint their way through it, think again. Against Mexico, it was a typical case of dying of hunger with a full refrigerator. It kind of sounds like he agrees with you guys. Play the first team, man. Why are we switching it up? Why are we like, oh, we got to hide what we have from Mexico when who knows what we have against the best competition in CONCACAF, let alone the world?
And we have to mention Octavio Zambrano was let go from the Canada job in under less than a year. So he has
he's got reason to be salty.
And be frustrated. I think he helped start some of what this movement's been. But I think it's the idea of like Bruce Arena, right? I'm going to put my best 11 players out there, guys that play that position, versus I don't know that you'd say Greg Berhalter, but someone who's like
the group chat was throwing out Jurgen references last night. I just want to say it.
But like the first thing I thought of when
they were throwing out Jurgen references.
Overthinking things or just thinking about every moment. And there's different schools of thought in this sport. I mean, there are different coaches and there are different coaches in the game at the exact same time who are both successful, looking at the game from different points of view.
Probably different coaches and different point of views. I don't want to speak for anybody on that Canada staff, but there's probably somebody playing the the other side saying, hey, but why don't we just put out our best team and see what happens? Shouldn't we get through Cuba? Now, I understand the results shimmy. They've got to make sure they get the points to get through, and so you rest for Cuba. I get that.
And it was positive from Terry Dunfield, like from someone who's been in this camp, who's currently covering the team in the Gold Cup. He was positive. I think more positive than we just were before we talked to him. So I think the vibe around it all is probably where it needs to be, and I think he's clearly John Herdman's managing that.
I agree with it. Just funny that a coach is going to Twitter to talk about it. It just it's like you don't go into your ex's Instagram. Like it just feels a little bit messy.
He's dropping some likes
just
in there, like 15 likes in a row. You're like, dang, what was Octavio doing last night?
Just watch Love Actually on Netflix.
Getting a little bit sentimental. He's like, I got hard done by here, man. This is messed up.
Listen to Drake,
Yeah, this is my Gold Cup. My Gold Cup. All right, let's talk U.S. The vibes there always a little shaky when it comes to
also,
American
shout out
soccer
to Canada
Twitter.
Women's team. They got through. They lost to the Netherlands, but they got through.
U.S., by the way, if we start getting distracted, they may be on the monitor in front of us here if you're watching on YouTube. So watch out for that one. Tyler Boyd coming up in just a second. Going to call in. We'll find out who he is and whether the New Zealand accent is indeed his or if he's just trotting that one out there. 4-0 against Guyana. It's a win. It was convincing at times, unconvincing at others. I'm calling this the Tyler Boyd-Paul Arriola game for the U.S. to kick off the Gold Cup. It was good enough. It was nowhere close to perfect, and it was an opportunity for the wingers to shine, and they did. I think probably the best we've seen. Paul Arriola in a U.S. shirt was like super clean all night, had the finish, had the assist. Tyler Boyd with a couple really beautiful goals as well. So that's nice. Greg Berhalter says progress every game. That's what you should see. I think we saw it in this game. What did you like?
Those two. I mean, you can only play against the competition that's in front of you, and you only get the opportunities that are right there. And those two took their chance. And those are the two question marks for me, is saying who are going to be the wingers that emerge. I think we all know Josie Altidore is going to come back into this team. If we're going to try and make the final and if we're going to potentially win it, it's going to be because of Josie Altidore. I know Christian is, the main man on this team, but Josie is going to have to be the one to score goals. But I had questions on the wing. I loved what I saw from Boyd. I thought he was fantastic. Arriola, bringing that finish quality, his pace, his movement, both of those guys' energy really changed the game.
What did you like about Boyd? Get a little bit specific for me, given that I can see Calen Carr out on those wings, cutting in, doing his thing. You might have a little feel for it.
Well, I don't know if I had it that nice. I needed to go to New Zealand, check in, and
then to
there.
Portugal, and then to Turkey.
Yeah,
it's roundabout.
He's been around, but we saw against Venezuela a little bit of his quality, and most of it was his delivery. We saw the set pieces. He serves a dangerous ball, whether from a set piece or from the run of play. And this game, we saw a whole other side of his game. The ability to find a little bit of space, to have some creativity, some flair to go one-on-one, just that little shimmy to create that space in the box. Didn't need a lot. And then to take that ability to strike the ball and put it on frame. But he was also good in the run of play as well. There were moments where he was able to break pressure with his speed. He looked like he had his legs under him compared when a lot of other guys, Weston McKennie and others, didn't seem like they were ready for the match. His fitness and his ability to really combine at times too. I just was having thoughts of, hey, when Josie's back in this lineup, what would it look like with these two incredibly dynamic wingers to be able to stretch in behind, to play off him, to tuck underneath, to have Lima coming on the right-hand side. You saw shades of how Berhalter's system could really work. And I had big question marks about those wingers because we'd only seen Boyd one game.
Yeah.
and it's the jury is still there's still time.
It's still Guyana.
But those are their spots to lose now throughout the rest of the Gold Cup. I expect those guys to start the rest of the way.
So I'd kind of been a little cynical and said, boy, if Tyler Boyd is waltzing right into this team, that's probably not a great sign for our talent pool and what we've been building. Now Tyler Boyd is showing that, okay, maybe it is okay that he's pushed his way in this fast because he's that good. But how much do you know about Tyler Boyd, Dave?
Not much.
Not much?
No.
Very little?
Yeah.
Well, we know he scored 2 goals. We know he has a mother from the U.S., a father from New England, and not much else.
No.
Tyler Boyd.
He has a father from New Zealand.
Sorry, New England.
Yeah.
Wow. That
We
Bruce
were
Arena.
locked in on Luol Deng.
Yeah, the Bruce Arena references. Well, dang, it all came to me. Tyler Boyd is on the line now. It's our AT&T call to the field. Tyler, welcome to Extra Time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's just start with the basics, man. Like, we've enjoyed watching you play, but I think we are probably like a lot of Americans out there that we don't know that much about Tyler Boyd. So who are you in your own words?
I would say, just starting from the beginning, I grew up near Santa Barbara for 10 years, and then I moved to New Zealand, lived there for 10 years. And then the last 3.5 years, I've been in Portugal, and the last 6 months in Turkey. So I've been all over the place, and my development as far as soccer goes has been in America for 10, New Zealand for 10, Portugal for 3.5, and Turkey. So it's been a long journey.
Tyler, I have to ask you about the accent. You had 10 years in the U.S., and then apparently New Zealand just beat all of the American accent out of you. Yeah, it's gone. It's all New Zealand for you.
It's true. My sister moved over when she was 15, and she kind of kept hers a little bit, but I was so young. I was 9 or 10, so I lost my accent completely.
Well, I really like it, so I appreciate that you kept it. I think that was, as a brand move, that was smart. But take us...
As long as I'm American at heart, that's all that matters. The accent doesn't matter, I guess.
We're going to talk more soccer in a second. Take us off the field, though. What do you like to do? You know, what are your interests outside of soccer? What should people know about you?
I'm a pretty chill dude. I like being at home, just relaxing, being off my feet, especially if I've had a hard training. But I love being at the beach, just being in places that I can relax and take a bit of time to relax my mind as well. And I like being with family and friends. That's the most important to me.
Santa Barbara, New Zealand, and Portugal.
He
found a couple beaches.
Then Ankara, the Anatolian steppe. That was an interesting move. We'll get to that in just a second here. Your family was there for this performance against Guyana. 2 goals for you. The 1,000th goal in the history of the U.S. Men's program. What did that game mean to you? What did it mean to your family?
Oh, it was just an incredibly special moment for me. My parents haven't watched me play live in about 3 years, so to have them at the game and to be able to score for them and for the nation and score my first goal and the 1,000th goal, it was all just seemed to line up perfectly. It was an amazing team performance, and obviously I wouldn't have scored those goals without my teammates, so it starts from them. And yeah, what an amazing night. It was honestly a dream come true.
They took the long flight over. Are they sticking around for the whole tournament?
Yeah, they're going to follow us around. I only usually get to see them once a year, so this year I haven't had much time off, so they're going to follow us around and see me as much as possible.
Awesome, man. 2 great goals as well, and that's what we've seen your highlight reel in Turkey. Tell us how, though, you made it to the U.S. This is your first camp here, your first opportunity. You played friendlies with New Zealand. This has been a winding journey internationally. Take us through it.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to make my debut for the New Zealand national team when I was quite young. I think I was 17 or 18, and I only played friendly matches. And I was aware of that, and I got the chance to make my dad proud and represent his country. And in the back of my mind, it was a dream to represent America, my country and my mum's country. So, yeah, that was in the back of my mind. And it was a dream come true when Greg gave me the call and wanted me to come in. So it's been a long journey and a lot of hard work and a lot of people helping me on the way, but definitely worth it.
What was your dad's reaction when you told him, hey, you know, New Zealand was great, it was a good taste, but I'm going with the U.S.?
Oh, he was just so pleased. He was really proud of me. He totally understood, and I think most people in New Zealand understood. I've said it in multiple interviews. You can't choose between two parents. I've got one of each, and I love both countries. I love both parents, and they're both really proud of me. So, I've had no problem with that decision.
After you got your initial call-ups, you mentioned they were just friendlies. Were you not getting called up after that because of playing time or different things, or were you trying to maybe see if you had the opportunity to play with the U.S. and didn't want to get cap tight?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it was the right decision for my career, and I had advice from my agent and certain people around me, and I think it was important for me to solidify my career first and then make a decision about international. And I knew going back for a tournament would mean that I was tied, so I wanted to give both countries the opportunity to allow me to play, and I think it worked out perfectly.
Had you heard from the U.S. before, Greg, or is this the first time you've had contact? How did you actually get into these camps and now in with the U.S.?
This was the first time I've been contacted by anyone. Greg was the first one to give me a call, and we had a brief conversation and just talked about the possibility of a switch. And I had to go through some documents and through a process of appealing to FIFA whether I could switch or not. So it wasn't 100% straight away. So that was a bit of a wait, and I didn't want to get my hopes up just in case. There was a little process behind it, and Greg was first class with it all. He made me feel comfortable and welcome since day one, and it made my decision pretty easy.
What's the camp like? What are your teammates like?
Just like I said, it's been an easy process so far. The boys have been absolutely world class. Since day one, literally day one, I felt like part of the family, part of the brotherhood, and everyone on the team is just first class. I have only positive things to say about them.
Which player on the current U.S. national team roster does the best fake New Zealand accent?
Honestly, I haven't heard many of them try.
Okay.
I'll have to get back to you on that one and ask a few of the boys to do a bit of an impersonation. But I remember for my initiation, I had to get up in front of the boys, and one of them asked me to try to do the accent, and I tried, but I wasn't very good.
The American accent, because obviously the New Zealand one, and you got that one down pat.
No, I tried to do the American accent.
Who's the guy you've connected with the most, or the person that you're rooming with, the person who's kind of helped you learn the ropes, so to speak?
Honestly, I can't pinpoint one guy. Everyone in the team has been honestly amazing. There's no egos in the group. Everyone has a positive attitude. Everyone lifts each other up. The staff have been amazing. The coaches have been amazing. Honestly, I can't pinpoint one person. I've roomed with Paulie and I've roomed with Danny, so those two have been amazing roommates. They don't snore, so I've been sleeping well as well. Honestly, been first class.
That's the number one thing. No snorers. Do not get a
snore. It's important. Rest is important.
For the whole tournament. Let's talk about the club situation for you before we get out of here. Portugal, Wellington Phoenix, now in Ankara, the capital of Turkey, on the steps, man. Anatolia. That is an interesting move. How did you end up there?
Basically, I was looking for game time, and I wasn't necessarily getting a lot of game time in Portugal for about 4 months. And I needed a change of scenery to get game time and get consistent minutes, and they gave me that opportunity, and I took it with both hands and just tried to improve every game and build a good rest of the season. And that's what gave me the opportunity to come in and join the boys here in camp.
You put on a great display, and you're continuing to play well. The Gold Cup, another one of those shop windows, a chance for clubs to see you. We've heard a lot of different names. What should we expect for Tyler Boyd in 2019 and 20 from a club situation? Where should we expect to see you?
As far as club situation, I don't know. I have a contract with Vitória Guimarães for another year, but as far as a personal standpoint, you can expect me to keep working hard and have my head down, stay humble, and just always improve. That's been my motto since day one, and I'm not going to stop trying to improve and trying to learn from the coaches and everyone around me. So that's it.
A lot of the folks that follow MLS, ourselves included, watch this performance, watch your initial performances for the U.S. and wonder, could MLS be a possibility? Is that something that you would have any interest in, Tyler?
You never know. Honestly, you never know. I'm open to all ideas. I'm really not sure where I'm going after the summer. I'm just focused on the Gold Cup and hopefully winning that trophy with the boys and giving everything I can for the team and for the nation. So that's what I'm focused on. But MLS, you never know. I'm open to all ideas.
If you're open to all ideas, you should score 2 games every goal for the rest of the Gold Cup. That's my
2 goals
idea
every
for you,
game.
Tyler.
Yeah, that would work out.
I love that. That sounds beautiful to me.
All right, the second game coming up this weekend of the CONCACAF Gold Cup for the U.S. and Tyler Boyd. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us here and introducing yourselves to Extra Time listeners out there. Enjoy yourself in the tournament, and good luck with the U.S.
Thank you very much, boys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Tyler Boyd, a charming individual. Am I just saying that because of the accent, or
Potentially, but that's how they get you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's 35 years later. You run a cafe in a small town in New Zealand, and an American walks in and goes, "Tell me your story."
Oh God.
That's how this works.
Yeah.
That was deep.
Yeah. Is that what
Went
we're
somewhere.
If we find
It's a
you
John
in New
Mayer
Zealand,
song.
yeah, if we find you in New Zealand in 35 years, I'm gonna be shocked.
I'd be pumped. It's really hard to get a visa.
Yeah, okay. You know more about that than I do, obviously. So we talked about the positive. It's the winger game, I think. Tyler Boyd is a charming individual. We're happy that he chose the U.S. It seems like a great experience for him and his family. It's going to continue for them throughout this tournament, and you would expect beyond. Okay, now what for the U.S.? It's Trinidad and Tobago. It's revisiting Cuba. It's Saturday.
It's not
Watch that
revisiting
one.
Cuba.
Okay, that's a good point. Club and country. Pre-game and post-game. But I think that's a great point because that is the easy kind of cliche narrative that people want to throw on top of this for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it doesn't apply in your mind.
Well, there are, 4 people that it correlates for? It's Bradley, Josie, Pulisic, Omar. I think that's it. And Greg Berhalter's not the same. So I don't think it does. And I understand all these players watch that game. And so there'll be a little bit of a chip there and a little bit of an experience. But in reality, this is your second ever Gold Cup game for most of these guys.
You don't feel some type of way about it? About playing against Trinidad?
No, I don't.
do.
Yeah.
I personally do.
I don't, because we went out and lost that game. Okay, there's no.
Yeah, but that is what's so painful about it. Is
Yes,
that
but it's
there was
not-
a chance in front of us where we as a soccer nation believed that and I universally believed that we were bigger than that, and that was a mistake, and we paid for it, and it was this just epic kind of lesson in, I think, arrogance and entitlement.
But if we rolled our national team out and played that U.S. national team, I'd feel stronger than playing against Trinidad and Tobago. Like, I don't put any of the angst on Trinidad and Tobago. I put it on the tactical decisions. I put it on the goalkeeping. I put it on the finishing from the U.S.
I get
in that game.
But don't you want to see this iteration, knowing that Trinidad and Tobago is, frankly, not that much better? They're kind of in shambles. They lost their first game. The Federation is never, rolling on all cylinders. Don't you want to see us come out and win just to kind of be like, oh?
Yes, and I think for the fans, I think you're probably right. For the group, Tyler Boyd, some of these guys on the team that have nothing to do with the
that's
past.
a trivia answer for them.
Yeah.
And it's like a painful thing, but it's not personally painful maybe in the same way.
Exactly, and for a lot of these guys, it's actually been the reason of their opportunity that is in front of them because so much has had to change from then till now, which has given a lot of opportunity for these young guys. But I think for the fans, this does matter. I think there is an emotional baggage that the fans have been carrying for the last, I don't know, however many
almost 2
months
years,
now. Yeah. And so I think there is a little bit of a responsibility to try and you're not going to be able to right those wrongs. But I think what people got so upset about in that game was the lack of spirit and the urgency. And that's what I think this new group has the opportunity to go out and try and prove. Not just for themselves because they don't really have anything. I don't think those guys have something to prove personally or as a group, but for the fans. I think the fans really want to see the team come out and especially against a Trinidad and show that this is something different and that spirit is in this group.
Yeah, look, there is something communal about supporting a national team, about supporting a club as well. But I think that's where that feeling comes from. There's something communal about Greg Berhalter's system, and we're still figuring it out. His players are. We keep talking about this because it's his kind of mantra, the progress, build into a tournament. How do you build now? What is the building blocks you want to see in this game? Other than maybe Josie in there, because you talk about Josie and Christian Pulisic, but he's the multiplier for that attack. But everybody's better with Josie.
Agreed, but I would say the goals you scored against Guyana were mainly out of great individual moments. They were not out of a flow of a team. And I thought the first goal was fantastic. McKennie's ball, Ariola's finish, great goal. Boyd did really well in his 1v1 opportunities. But it wasn't, okay, now we see how Greg Berhalter wants to play, where he's going to drop defenders in, where he wants the ball to be switched, how he wants it to move. And I think the biggest one is where Pulisic fits in, right? His best moments in this game were when he picked the ball up out wide. And he played as a winger. So the question is that the point of the system? Is that when he does go wide, no one follows him maybe, or he can overload on his side and that's the purpose? Or is it, no, we want him to be in the middle creating, and that's just not who he is. So I think that's something that you're going to learn in this game. And then the question is just how you develop out of the back, because Trinidad and Tobago is not going to pressure you. Guyana didn't. Trinidad and Tobago will be better, but they're not going to pressure you. They're not going to play in possession. So you're going to have to break down a low block throughout this game. And I don't think they were great at that against Guyana. So I'd like to see that improve. Who's helping Michael Bradley? Who's coming to Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long to get that ball to help build out?
What's the movement off Bradley if you're able to find him in a good spot? How do you get the ball forward? How do you find those big switches that he's able to do to such aplomb and sometimes get assists on? What do you want to see?
Well, exactly that, because that was the times where it looked stagnant in the first half, and why it took so long to really try and break down Guyana was the fact that they were just recycling the ball with those two center defenders.
Yeah, it's like Zimmerman to Bradley, back to Zimmerman. Look
and they
around,
were just
stand
looking,
there for a while,
right?
like, oh, where's the open man?
And Berhalter has talked so much about these progressions of play and how to get from one phase to the next, and they look stuck on phase one there.
Yeah.
So I want to see, as far as progression goes in this match, how do you get to phase two? How do you find Weston McKennie in a good spot? How do you find Christian Pulisic in a soft spot in between the lines? How do you create some opportunities where maybe it's Zimmerman being a little bit more, he's great at breaking lines and stepping forward with LAFC. Can he take some more risks in possession? Can these guys find this way to break down teams instead of just taking the safe option?
I like when Zimmerman steps in that possession rather than cycle it wide to the fullback. He likes to step in with LAFC. He did it in the January camps as well. And then it gives Bradley someone to move off of because it shifts the defense a little. And that's when Bradley's at his best, when he can take that one or two steps to the side to find it where he wants to. That would be nice to see. Also, last show, Doyle said no injuries, and then Weston McKennie went down with an injury. So we should probably say that again.
Yeah, they're saying that's a cramp, by the way. He's saying he's okay, that all the grabbing of the hamstring was just kind of precautionary and that he will be back. Would you rest him? Would you make changes? Would you do the Herdman move?
Well, I would change Daniel Lovitz for Tim Ream just because I'd like to see it. I don't think Ream was good against Guyana, and Doyle said it as well. No, Doyle getting two references. That he struggled, and there was one ball that came across where Ream just didn't react, and it was one of Guyana's best looks. I would change that. Obviously, if McKennie has to change, you have to figure out who comes into that role.
Probably Roldan.
Probably be Roldan.
Yeah, you'd think be Roldan.
And you see how he works differently than McKennie. I think he'll drop a little deeper and find the ball more often because he plays deeper with Seattle than McKennie does normally wherever it is he plays with Schalke. So those would be two. And with Josie, it's on them knowing what his health is. You want to get him in the knockout stages playing well. However you get him there, that's your plan.
I'm okay with him being a sub in this match, you would think, just kind of get him broken in. Have you ever seen, before we move on here to Open Cup, there will be a new champion in that competition, by the way. I'm just kind of fascinated by the Giassi Zardes U.S. men's national team supporters. I don't know what it is. Giassi's like, it's so weird because Giassi's not like a malcontent in any way. Giassi's, we've interviewed him a ton on this show. He's a really good, genuine dude, but people just hate him. And then
this is the way it works.
Yeah, then he scores a goal off his face unintentionally, and it's like everybody's just bringing out the long knives, and they're ready to cut him down. And I don't think he is the answer for us up top, but it is fascinating to me and just kind of like a sociological standpoint to stand back and look around and be like, oh my God.
Being an American attacker, everyone wants you to look exactly like Ronaldinho or Sergio Aguero. And when you don't, even with McBride, people complain. Like, this is what U.S. fans have always done. With Donovan, everyone complained his entire career. With parts with Clint, everyone complained. Is he a forward? Is he a winger? What does he do? Everyone complains about all of this because for the most part, our attacking players aren't like prototypical of what that position is around the world. You had like John O'Brien for that one spell, which was awesome, and Claudio at times when he played. But
I think there's a gap in quality, though, between Giassi and those names that you mentioned, of course. So, and I think that's part of the frustration is just to say, we don't have a lot of options up front right now, and that's why there was such a clamoring for Josh Sargent to come into this team because we don't even really know what he offers necessarily.
But he could be. But he might be really good.
It's the promise,
right.
and that's what fans want is just to say, all right, it's a fresh start. But why are we going back to these same names or familiar faces? Because yes, he wasn't leading the line necessarily in this last cycle, but he's been around for a long time at it and had good production.
But
don't blame
his ceiling.
Yes, but don't blame Giassi for the lack of forward depth. That's not his problem.
Yeah.
That's a larger indictment. But
He's got 2 goals under the Berhalter era, and he wasn't paying attention on either of them.
Well, one of them was a deflection. He was paying attention.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, nicest guy in the world, but I do think it does speak. Number 9 and left back are the 2 weakest positions for the U.S. men's national team right now. It's pretty clear.
Yep. We shall see on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, U.S. Trinidad and Tobago Club and Country pregame and postgame shows on MLS Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, MLSsoccer.com, the MLS app, all there. Myself, Calen, Doyle. Bobby might be back. He's in France right now
He
at
just
the
sent
U.S.
me a
women's
picture
game.
of the La Havre Stadium.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
La Havre.
Yeah, I was going to say. Noted shipping town.
Oh, well. Would you like to say anything
close,
else?
Yeah, very close connection with Britain because of the British Channel being right there and trade and culture and things of that nature. By the way, Gold Cup continues. You've got all games every single night, so it's beautiful. The matchups coming up that I'm looking forward to, Costa Rica, Bermuda. Bermuda showed some things. Costa Rica should win this one, but we'll see. Jamaica, El Salvador, both the 2 winners in Group C. And then, of course, we'll see what happens with Canada and Cuba, and Mexico's through. That's no big deal. So no draws so far in the Gold Cup. That's kind of weird. All chalk. I don't think there's really been an upset yet.
Did El Salvador beat Honduras?
No, El Salvador beat
so you
Curacao.
said Jamaica, El
Curacao. You're Curacao.
Right.
You were so high on Curacao.
Yeah, you jinxed them.
And I was, I was very doubtful. Didn't think they could do much in this
tournament. You ruined
tournament.
something that was good. I will say, though, good little transition from Gold Cup to Open Cup.
Ooh, bring it on.
During the Trinidad and Tobago Gold Cup game at Allianz Field, you can actually hear when Minnesota United went ahead against Houston in Open Cup on the road. It was like in the 59th minute, and you hear the crowd go nuts as like a ball just goes out for a throw-in, and then you realize that everyone in the crowd is watching the Open Cup game on their phones.
Right.
On ESPN Plus.
Monitoring. Voice of the Open Cup here. We are on to the quarterfinals.
I don't think we can say that.
I'm going to keep saying it. I'm making it a thing. Round 5 is over. Yeah, so here are some of the, if you missed it, Brandon Vasquez led Atlanta past the Crew on a soggy night. Caleb Porter wasn't happy about the refereeing in this one. Columbus are out of the Open Cup.
Where do you stand on the guy goes down, you can't tell if he's injured, and the ref doesn't tell you to put it out?
Play.
Yeah.
Keep playing.
So Nagby was down. The Crew played. Nagby ended up getting up right as a comm scored for the Crew. Atlanta was upset. But he got back up at the end of the whole thing and continued to play.
If they don't stop it, you play.
Yeah.
If it's not a head injury,
right.
you have to play.
It's the referee's job to tell you.
Yeah, 100%. Players should not have any of that responsibility at all. Orlando City took down the Revs. Keaton Park show in the Open Cup. He's not playing much in MLS.
He looked really good.
He's looking good in the Open Cup. New York City FC went to DC and won. Minnesota United, you mentioned epic comeback against the Dynamo.
Darwin.
Knocked out the defending champs. Darwin Quintero is magic. Sometimes he's not magic. Sometimes he and Angelo Rodriguez don't get along. But when he is on.
But we I won't say we mocked. But we thought it was interesting that Wilmer Cabrera won in the last round of Open Cup and then scolded his team for the way they performed once they were ahead. Clearly, he saw something very specific in that game because they went ahead 2-0 in this game and they lost 3-2. There's something wrong with this team's ability to play with a lead, which is odd for a squad that sits deep in counters because you'd think it would play perfectly into their hands. When they score first, it's their game. Obviously, they don't have a lease in this tournament, Romel Kyoto, because guys are away for international, all that stuff. But he was really upset with the way they won in the last round, and then it came, his Roosters came to blah, blah, blah.
I don't think, I was going to say, his Roosters,
it all came to stew.
His something.
At some point, you have to be able to keep the ball, though, just to relieve pressure and to give yourself some time not defending, because a counterattack, it's great. It gives you an opportunity to get on the break or whatever, but those are fleeting. They're short. It's a short passage where you need just a moment to take a breath, and this Dynamo team hasn't been able to hold leads late in game just because they haven't been able to keep the ball. I mean, when you give Darwin Quintero some time to get in a rhythm, I mean, he was incredible. The way he was just megging guys. He looked like the Darwin of old. And when you couple
the last summer.
6 months ago.
Well, it feels like a while.
It does.
But even in the last Open Cup game for him, he's starting to get his confidence back. So if he can take that over to the league play, that could be huge for this.
Minnesota need that, no doubt about it. Brian Fernandez scoring league, Open Cup, doesn't matter. He got 1. Timbers got 4. Galaxy go down at Providence Park. Timbers move on. They will play the winner of LAFC San Jose, which is going down on this Thursday night. Yep. But the upsets, the cup sets.
Wait, can I throw in Efra Alvarez? Happy birthday. His 17th birthday. He started for the LA Galaxy at 17 years old.
Makes you feel old.
Kicking ball.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
New Mexico United. They upset FC Dallas 2-1 at SMU. Got the governor of New Mexico out here tweeting congratulations. It's been that kind of season for New Mexico United.
Yeah,
It's been epic.
Awesome. Yeah.
Isotopes Park down there in Albuquerque. What they've been having 13,000 a pop.
Yeah,
in
everyone's
year
got
one,
their flags
and making an Open Cup run now.
Yeah.
St. Louis, they got another MLS team, knocked them down. It was the Fire last time around. Now it's FC Cincinnati. Stoppage time goal. Home crowd went absolutely nuts. So right now the matchups in the quarterfinals: Orlando, New York, Atlanta, St. Louis. That's on the what you call the eastern side of the bracket. Western side of it: Minnesota, New England, or excuse me, I'm on that New England tip, man. Minnesota, New Mexico United, and then the winner of LAFC San Jose against the Portland Timbers.
Yeah.
For pure entertainment, I'm playing the bracket out like this: Orlando City over New York City. Then Atlanta United over St. Louis.
Because you want that.
I want that rivalry. I want.
Did you see Forward Madison's tweet about rivalries?
No.
So they were like, because everyone likes to make up rivalries nowadays, because them and North Texas have played some good games. The USL League One's in its first year. There's only 10 teams. So you play everyone like 12 times or whatever it is. So they named it El Plastico. Their rivalry.
After the plastic
Flamingos, but also
right.
like when something's fake, it's
Sure,
plastic.
sure. But I think Atlanta, look, Atlanta won a.
I was just saying.
They won
I
to
wasn't
knock
saying
Orlando
it's not
off
a rivalry.
Okay, fine.
It just happened to pop in my head while you were talking.
Okay, yeah. There's some association there. So I have Orlando City moving on.
Yep.
And then the other side, I have New Mexico beating Minnesota to set up one against LAFC in LA, who knock off Portland, so New Mexico fans can make that trip. Then I have New Mexico United winning it and then doing their best to win the bid to get the final. Then New Mexico hosting Orlando, who are desperate for a trophy. Meanwhile, New Mexico have Isotopes Park just decked out.
Why can't
whole state's into it?
Okay, cool.
What?
Why does Orlando have to go to the final? Why can't it be Atlanta? Why can't we get New Mexico against the reigning MLS Cup champions? Why can't it be Barco, PT, and Joseph at Isotopes Park?
Okay, I'm in for that. Orlando, I just felt like would be a little bit more dramatic.
Also, Devin Sandoval, OG Atlanta 2 player, so a big rivalry rematch for him.
Yeah, you've sold me.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the
that?
final at New Mexico, though.
Yeah.
Except I lost my last college game at University of New Mexico. It was a heartbreaker. And they had, literally, you were allowed to drive their cars out onto the track around the pitch. And they had their lights on the entire match and just basically standing there.
That's like, remember the
It was like
Titans.
mayhem. It was, and they ran on the field afterwards and like pantsed our players at Berkeley.
What?
Yeah, this was wild.
Wait, did you?
What is happening?
They pantsed.
They were like
players?
coming through and
who
we
are
lost
they?
the game.
Who is they?
Yeah.
University of New Mexico kids.
Oh.
Or a community. I don't know. It was in Albuquerque.
Whoa.
It was wild. Yeah.
RIP, they don't have a program anymore.
I know they did lose their program, but they went to the final that year.
Yeah, they were.
Lost to
They
Jason
were
Gary.
really
They were
good
legit.
program.
Yeah.
But I think every game in the Open Cup should be played at alternate venues. I like the idea of playing at smaller parks, and I know DC has done that for a while. In Chicago, we played against Columbus in Peoria, Illinois, and they like packed. What's the college in Peoria?
Illinois State.
Bradley. Yeah.
Should have known. Good Missouri Valley boy like myself.
Yeah, dude, MVC.
Yeah, messed that one up.
I love the idea. I wish Houston would play at RGV. Like, I just love the idea of going to these smaller venues for the Open Cup. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense always, but it's just cool.
Yeah,
It's cool.
different.
It's cool when a lot of teams have separate stadiums now for USL teams. Like, then it makes sense because you have a smaller building, and a lot of times it's like
The Sounders used to do it at Starfire sometimes.
Well,
yeah.
they played this time last week. They played at
Defiance.
Tacoma, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They lost to the Portland Timbers, who are playing really well right now, by the way. Brian Fernandez has 7 goals in his first 5 career games. That's a really good thing to do.
What's it feel like to get railhawked? Like if these teams that have lost to New Mexico and now to St. Louis, like you're the MLS team, like, yo.
It's awful. There's a lot of us, There's I've lost 2 finals to the Galaxy. A lot of us, got dealt devastating blows by them, and same thing with the Railhawks. We've all gotten Railhawked once or twice in our career.
Galaxy among them.
I remember playing there. I think it was Juan Carlos Osorio's first game. We went there with Blanco, and we got Railhawked. Like, what? How does that happen? Yeah. But the atmosphere of those games was fun.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I hope New Mexico United probably aren't going to host any of these games unless they make it to the final. And then word that I hear is that they would try as hard as they could to get that game if they got there.
Don't want to throw a wrench in too hard because Taylor gets his rants very clean, and I don't want to throw them off. But he did rant about how every MLS team should play on the road. But USL teams aren't.
Somebody else said that on this show, and you were like, no.
They're not applying to host.
Yeah, that's true.
How can you have a team host a game that it can't host?
Maybe the finals.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. By the way, MLS is back as well. We've gone
Who
about...
on this show said that?
I don't know.
Cool.
Good talk.
Good stuff. MLS is back. It's been like 2 weeks, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
6 games this weekend. Let's see. I think the best are FC Dallas, Toronto, maybe Paxton Pomykal back into the starting lineup. He was on the bench for the Open Cup. Portland, Houston is interesting because I think Portland's missing many players for the
Blanco
Gold
is
Cup.
suspended.
Oh.
But yes, they're not missing any players, really.
Columbus Sporting Kansas City. Graham Zusi is the first player on the MLS All-Star Fan 11 presented by Target, I believe.
That's
Which,
exciting.
Graham Zusi's been to a lot of All-Star games. I think this time the fans, no offense to Graham Zusi, this time the fans should have gone a different direction. But, going to go the way you're going to go. Pity Martinez, Barco, LGP, and Guzan off Atlanta on the Fan 11, but no Joseph, which is puzzling.
I'd say of all those players, Joseph would be the only one that actually deserves to be on the All-Star team.
Yeah, the Fan 11
Maybe Guzan.
Can be a little bit weird, and honestly, the voting outside of that can be a little weird as well. The All-Star game
Wiebe, I'd vote for you.
Thank you.
It'd be more of a Zusi thing where it's like based on your career, not
Have
based
they
on
announced
your current production.
LAFC players yet?
Nope. We're still waiting on that. They're slow rolling it out there.
I'm interested to see that one because
Yeah.
I feel like it could be a lot of names.
Obviously, the Atlanta voting block is very, very good. Watch those games this weekend. We will have a Matchday Central show on Sunday. Also, get your fantasy team in order. The second season of fantasy is beginning. I'm going to try to get back on the bandwagon. We'll see how it goes. I can't be on the All-Star team, but in the future, maybe Andrew Wooten could to represent the Andrews of the world. Sandhausen in the second Bundesliga said he's gone. There was nothing official on this side. They said he's gone to MLS. And now, who's reporting it?
Pro Soccer USA is reporting that it's Philly, which makes a lot of sense.
17
Tanner
goals
has his connections in Germany.
in the 2 Bundesliga this last season. We've been ranting and raving about a forward for them. Maybe he's that guy. We'll see.
I think it's more like they lost Corey Burke for a stretch. I don't think he is Joseph Martinez, but as we said earlier, Philly needs. I got Brian Fernandez on the mind because he's got an incredible scoring rate going right now. Philly needs 4 guys to score 6 to 8 goals.
Can we talk about the bet you made with producer Anders on Fernandez?
What bet?
20 goals? Was it?
Was it
19
over under
19
20?
goals.
Yeah.
19 goals.
Yes, you said it.
It said on this show, recorded for posterity, because we don't have it recorded anywhere else, that is 19 goals. So it's 18 and a half over under. I said over. That Brian Fernandez gets 19 goals.
So it's like 11
count?
the rest of the way.
Is it a double up?
No, assists don't count. He's got to put
just
the ball.
goals?
And what's
in
just
all
goals.
comps.
What'd you guys put on it?
There's a cereal that Sour Patch Kids makes.
Yeah, you have to have a
Sour-
full bowl of it.
Don't know
With-
about that.
These are the
milk or no
conversations
milk?
that happen, by the
Yeah.
way, in the green room.
Yeah.
With milk or no milk? Oh, the women's game's about to start.
Yeah,
With milk or no milk?
Milk, but any kind of milk. You can be almond milk. It could be soy, whatever you feel.
Oat milk?
I'm a big almond milk guy.
That's like white water. It's
It's
not
all
a big
white
fan.
water.
Anyway, we're gonna get you out of here
Glad we
on
got this
this
on
last topic that I'm really excited about.
Okay.
Had some mail about this one from Andrew in Brooklyn. Sacramento Republic's Warren Smith, who you may remember, helped build that club up into something that may enter MLS very, very soon. Yeah, that's good. That's good luck there. You're wearing the hat here.
I read the rundown.
Those on
I did.
YouTube can check that out.
I actually didn't.
Bringing USL Championship along with Landon Donovan to San Diego. The MLS expansion stuff kind of got away from them. Didn't really work. They didn't get the groundswell that they wanted to. So now they're going USL Championship with an eye toward the future. They said, hey, look, we're building something. If it turns into MLS, then great. If not, we'll have something beautiful no matter what. But LD as GM, running the soccer operations, also as a part owner, I have dreams of LD playing, of Jermaine Jones playing, and of this being a wonderful thing in San Diego. Torero Stadium on University of San Diego. It's beautiful. It sounds like a wonderful lifestyle. LD, part owner, GM, and player. How's that feel if you're a player? If he's like, playing right wing and he's like, give me the ball out here. And it's like, that guy could cut me. I have to play on the ball.
It's probably the same. Yeah, Landon probably was doing that with the Galaxy. The LeBron move, except that didn't really go so well for...
Not yet.
Lakers,
Year 1 for the Lakers, not bad.
actually,
But you
they
make
got-
some
they
big
got,
signings.
AD, yeah.
But, I mean, look, Landon and Jermaine just played together against Mexico for the U.S. NAST, the U.S. Indoor soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they might have been talking. This has been in the news. Come to San Diego, Jermaine. I know you just bought a house in the hills, but it's a beautiful place. Make the drive.
Cool. Are you appealing to me? I don't know how to respond to any of this.
I'm really
Why are you so pumped about this?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just like Landon Donovan GM. He tried to do a bunch of stuff. It didn't work. He got the guy that helped Sac Republic almost get to the brink of MLS. Maybe that's how they get to MLS. You can't tell me Landon Donovan as like an owner in this league, as a GM in this league. That's fun. That's just fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Also, it's like a good example for life. It's like, well, something doesn't work out. Someone doesn't give you something. You create your own and you build from the ground up. Grassroots, baby.
Mm-hmm.
El Plastico.
Austin FC are actively trying to recruit Chicharito. Nothing in that timing that you should read into at all.
Yeah.
By the way, that was just on the rundown directly below. So
Love it.
401-206.
Are you allowed to talk about? Aren't you not allowed to talk
MLS.
about players that are in a contract?
I don't think there's tampering rules.
I think he would be good. I think he's a good soccer
yeah,
player.
most
That's my
people
analysis.
Would say that Chicharito would do well in this league. They've been saying that for a while.
Texas? Oh, my God.
Yeah, might pop off, huh?
Break the hearts, though, of Houston and Dallas.
By the way, the U.S. women are about to play.
No, they already
the show's
scored.
over. What? Really?
The
No.
game kicked off 2 minutes ago.
Oh,
3
my
minutes ago.
God.
All
We got to
right.
get out of here. Thank you to Tyler Boyd of the U.S. national team for joining us, as well as Terry Dunfield to talk Canada.
Got the wrong shirt on.
MLS is back this week.
USA.
Women's World Cup continues as well. The Gold Cup rolling through as well. On Monday, we'll be back here talking about all of it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Morgan.